Hello, everybody. Welcome to EduMatch Tweet and Talk number 48. So follow along with us, please, on Google Plus at bit.ly/tweettalk47, as well as on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch. Speaking of EduMatch, if you're interested in being the person of the day, just go to our website at edumatch.education and fill out the Google form, and we will get you all hooked up on Twitter and add you to our Voxer group and all kinds of great things. So just wanted to give a huge shout out to the July of Learning. So the first week of July, the 5th through the 9th, and EdCamp Voxer will be on, and the last week of July, which is the 29th and 30th, EdCamp Global will be going on. So look for a drop tweet around 16 p.m. that'll give you more info on both. So tonight's topic is awesome. Just want to give a huge shout out to our moderator for tonight, the fabulous, fantastic Tammy Neil, who's about to introduce all of our awesome panelists. And I just wanted to welcome everybody because we just have such an all-star cast tonight. But we're going to be talking about the reasons why we teach. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over now to Tammy. So go ahead, take it away, Tammy.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. My name is Tammy Neil. I am the lead moderator for Rural Ed Chat and Florida Ed Chat, and I am super excited to be here tonight with a full panel, and we'll start from my left to right, alphabetical order, and if you'll just unmute yourself as I introduce you and say just a brief something about yourself, and we're going to start with and Jeanette. Okay, hear me?
I can hear you. Hello, everybody.
There you go. You're first.
Teaching for 23 years in sunny South Florida.
Awesome. Another Chris?
Hi, Chris. I've been teaching for 18 years, the last 8 of which are in Shanghai, and we're loving it over here. Just very early in the morning. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, thank you for getting up early and starting your week with us.
A pleasure.
Appreciate it. Dean D.
Hi, I'm Dean Dahl. I'm a 6th grade teacher. I'm in my 22nd year. I teach out of Edina in Minnesota. Traditionally cold, but as right now we're like in the 80s and loving and living life.
Well, welcome to the Florida temperatures, which takes us over to Dean G, another Floridian.
Hello, everybody. Dean Gainey here, teaching in Orlando, Florida for 10 years. Currently, language arts is my subject area and experiencing great, lovely, warm weather at the moment. Certainly happy to be here.
Thank you, Dean. We're glad you're here with us. And Leslie.
Hi, I am Leslie Fagin. I am a second-year instructional technology coach in Griffin, Georgia. Before my current job, I taught high school English for a number of years, and I am glad to be here with you all tonight.
Glad to see you again, Leslie. And that takes us over to Matt.
Hello, team. I'm Matt Frattali. On my 20th year of teaching, I'm an ed tech right now in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Matt. And that takes us to Paula.
Myself. I'm Paula. I teach at the United Nations International School Kindergarten. I'm a DT, Design Thinking Coach, and I am the chair of a STEAM committee. Great to be here today.
Thank you, thank you. And that leaves us, Sarah, do you want to tell us a little bit about your teaching history?
Absolutely, yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Thomas in the D.C. area. This is my 12th year of teaching, and I have taught every grade in some form from 1 to 12, and I just left the classroom in November, and now I am a regional technology coordinator for the county where I work.
And we are so grateful that you have this platform so that we can all collaborate and share together. So we're going to jump right on into our very first question. Our first question, which has already gone out on Twitter, I see, is why do you teach? What got you started in teaching? Who would like to go first with that question? Okay, Paula, you're up.
I decided to be a teacher because I had a very bad experience at school. I was one of the youngest in my classroom, and the teachers were not encouraging me to be a thinker and to express my doubts and to be forward. So at a very early age, I decided I wanted to be a teacher to make sure that every student had a voice in my classroom and had a space, and that was okay not to understand something and to ask.
I think that's an awesome reason to start teaching. Who's next? Okay, Dean G, go ahead. Mr. Gainey?
So I have to say, perhaps a very unique situation, but I was inspired by my first grade teacher as
Ooh, I think we just accidentally lost him. When he jumps back in, we'll give him a chance to go again. Leslie.
I became a teacher in a roundabout kind of way. This is actually my third career, but I think I was always led to be in the classroom. I loved going to school when I was a kid. I hated summer vacation. I made my younger brother play school with me. He didn't have a choice. So I was always doing something that related to education. And once I graduated from college, I volunteered to be a softball coach, and I did Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. I've always liked working with children, and I just felt like the classroom was where I needed to be. So after my first two careers, I said, let me listen to the calling that I have, and I've been in the classroom. Well, up until 2 years ago, I was in the classroom, and I'm loving what I'm doing because I like working with the kids and giving them a voice and letting them know that there are people who care for them.
That's awesome, Leslie. Dean Dahl, go ahead, and then we'll let Mr. Gainey jump back in after you.
Okay, I am down the same line. I had a challenging elementary time because I was very young and graduated when I was 17, and I had one teacher that just connected with me, and I trusted her, Mrs. Cowan, and I thought, I want to do this. And then fast forward, I went into teaching to coach, and I became a teacher along the way.
Awesome. Mr. Gainey.
Hey there. So I was commenting on the fact that my particular first grade teacher was very inspiring, and I guess her demonstration of care and concern even as I was in first grade inspired me to do what I'm doing right now. And as I have to say, it's like I knew since then, and here I am today.
That's awesome. I'm going to jump in real quick before Matt goes. I got a letter this week from my kindergarten teacher, who was the lady that inspired me. So I just want to give a shout out to Mrs. Turk. And Matt, you're up.
I guess I teach because it's kind of a leadership position. When I ask kids what leadership is, they usually say like bossing people around or something like that. But I try to reframe it as it's helping people out. And bringing someone up to your level, whether if you're a basketball coach, bringing someone up to your basketball level, if you're a math teacher, bring up to your math level. So I see it as a leadership thing.
That's a unique way of looking at it. I appreciate that, Matt. We're going to move on to question 2. So those of you that didn't get a chance to answer question 1, we're going to jump in and let you start with question 2. And question 2 is, why do you stay in education? Why are you still here? And so who would like to, which of you, okay, Chris, let's start with you.
I'm still doing it for the same reason I started teaching, because I get a lot of satisfaction of working with people to achieve some kind of growth. All of life is relational, and fundamentally all good teaching is relational as well, right? And so when you have that relationship and you see growth, you see the light bulb light, you see the heart and the soul change for the better, there is no greater magic. And then years later, sometimes over a decade later, you get contacts by these former students saying, hey, I'm a teacher now, and right, or hey, Mr. Carter, you meant a lot, and it really helped when you said blah, and you're like, I don't remember saying blah, but I'm glad I did. Those are the things that just give you the life satisfaction. That's just amazing.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, and Jeanette, you're next.
It's been 20 years, and the gentleman just said, I started in middle school, went to high school, now I'm in elementary, simultaneous in college, and it's wonderful why people ask do I stay, because I get to see the end results of all those years of teaching, from the sixth graders that are now working for Bill Gates, the students in South Florida who knew no English and now are winning international awards, and even the 8-year-old daughter that I have in my house, being her teacher and watching her transition from a baby to now a chess scholar. It's wonderful these past 23 years to see my personal growth, my students' personal growth, and now even some of my college students. Wonderful feeling.
I agree. I'm a 25-year veteran as well, so as you see all of those things happening, and I teach at a 612, so I get to see them move from these little bitty sixth graders all the way up to high school graduates. Yes, it is an amazing, amazing feeling. Sarah.
Yeah, definitely. Just piggybacking off of what you just said, Tammy. I was working at a K-8 school for the last 7 years before this school year, and oh my goodness, the last group of 8th graders that we had go through, I was their English teacher in 2nd grade and again in 8th grade and a few times along the way. So, I mean, it was just so great to see them go from here to here, like the same kids doubled in size, and just the relationships built with those kids and with their families. It actually felt like a family. It felt like they were like my nieces and nephews. So I just loved that. I just loved it.
Sarah, you and I have had that conversation many times as you've gone through this transition you have this year of being with those kids and what they mean to you. So I know that they mean a lot to you. Do we have anyone else? Mr. Gainey.
I figured I'd jump in here. Sarah, I noticed that you mentioned families and becoming a big family. And one of the things that I've noticed, even as a minority male in the elementary education area now, is the impact that you can have on minority students, but really all students, but specifically those minority students that may have at some point been left out or not supported in some way. And you really, like, I've been called dad, I've been called uncle, I've been called things that really, I mean, if I were to walk out, I could not do it. If I were to leave the education field, not that I would ever do that, but I could not, because of the fact of the role that you assume, even just being who you are, and showing them the example that they need so that they can be successful in life.
And Matt, you wanted to round this question out.
I think it kind of goes back to what Leslie was saying, and that it's a calling. I can't imagine I could be doing anything else. I think a lot of it, a big piece of it is empathy. I think probably everyone in this room is really, really good at knowing what other people need and being able to give them, or try to give them that. And so that's just a great skill set for what we do, and that's kind of why I do what I do.
I think you're very right there as well, Matt. We're going to move on to question number 3, which is already dropped in Twitter, I see. And question 3 is about us. What do we say to that student that says, I want to teach? What do we say to that brand new, that junior, that senior that's contemplating going into education? So those of you that didn't get a chance to answer question 2, who would like to jump in and answer question 3? Okay, Paula?
Mute. They unmute? Yes. I usually tell my students, I teach kindergarten, so many of them decided they will be a teacher. It's a very often conversation. So I tell them it's absolutely amazing to teach. And I try to show them sometimes when they say they want to be a teacher, I have little videos of their reading and they can see their own evolution and they're like, you, the teacher, taught us that? And I said, well, I just facilitate, but as a teacher you have this space to encourage and to make you want to make you to learn, and I just thought that's very inspiring. And at the end of the conversation, they realized something that I find it brilliant. They realized that if you are a teacher, you have many people that will go to different professions as well, because you taught them to read and write, and they want to be that person. So in kindergarten, it's very normal for us to talk about it. It's just a rock star profession.
That is very, very true. I keep muting when I should be unmuting. Leslie.
As a former high school teacher, it's rare that we get kids who say that they want to be teachers, because high school kids sometimes can be a pain. But periodically, I've spoken to students, and one of my students that I had the first year that I taught seniors is now teaching at the high school that I graduated from. And over the weekend, she posted on Facebook she was having a hard time because one of our sophomores had been killed in a drive-by shooting at a graduation party Friday night, and she was like, I just don't understand it. And I tell the students, I say, teaching, and there are some days when I'm not necessarily the most agreeable person, but it is the most rewarding profession that you could ever possibly have. But there are days that you question, why do I do it? Because it just doesn't seem like anything is going right, and when you're trying to make sense of a loss or why a kid's not progressing or why a parent is yelling at you, you have to go back and remember, I do this for the kids, and I do this because there's nothing else that I would rather do. So I just, let them know, if this is what you want to do, don't listen to other people saying, oh, don't do it, you don't get paid enough, and that other foolishness. It's the best job in the world.
I agree with you 100%. And Mr. Dahl, we're going to finish this question with you.
Leslie, you are spot on. I just had this question. I too teach 6th grade, but I have high school students come back and they ask about this, and I tell them, one, it's exciting time, contrary to what some you may hear, is that the change is good, the change is needed, and it's cool to be part of that change. On top of that, all the traditional things that you see through the lens of teachers with correcting and assessment and everything, and parents. However, I just told the student, it's like, you have no idea how much power you have being at the door, and when students come in, you have the power in the sense of controlling which way we're going. And when you tell a 6th grader, you know what, we're going to have a great day today, I mean, this is going to be good, and they may be on the rocks, and it's like, oh, okay, if you say so. And it's such a cool thing that you get to push the throttle and give them a little shove, and you get the goosebumps when it happens and it comes together, and you also pull your hair out a little bit, but you jump right back in because you have your foot on the throttle, and that's so cool.
Exactly right. I don't think I could have put it better myself, Dean. So we're going to move right into question 4, which is already dropped in Twitter. Twitter's a little bit ahead of us, but that's okay. What advice do you have for an educator needing inspiration? And everybody on the panel is going to get a chance to give that one piece of advice. Not a problem. Who wants to give the advice first? Okay, and Jeanette?
Best piece of advice, find a good mentor. Gotta find a good mentor who's still happy about teaching. If you have a mentor that's not coaching you and giving you that encouraging word, drop them like a bad habit. But if you have a good mentor that's going to encourage you, then you keep them for as long as you need them. I've been doing it 23 years and I still have mentors. Best advice.
So true, so true. Great advice. Next, Leslie.
I would tell somebody, my piece of advice, always remember that the children in your classroom belong to somebody. I don't have any children of my own, but I always try to remember that. The parents want the best for their children. We want the best for their children. So if you remember that those kids belong to somebody, you'll do really well.
Yes, they are all somebody's baby. That's one thing to remember. Paula.
So jumping in on what Leslie said, for me, Every moment I remember, this is about the children. At the end of the day, it's about my students and myself and their learning. So keep your focus on your students' learning, and you will be okay.
Dean.
Share the learning. And I mean that with colleagues as well as your students. One, it's great with the PLNs and how we've digitized. You can share lessons, share the camaraderie of building something with another colleague across the hall, across the block, or across the country, as well as share it with your kids. If you can meet them where they're at, I'm speaking technology now, if you're working with whatever the tool is, and if you can meet them where they're at and just show them some interest, they're going to teach you some things as well, and you've built a bond that you can use later when times get tough.
Exactly. Sharing, sharing, sharing. Chris, you've not been able to answer very many questions. Take as much time as you need.
Oh, I'm fine. No, I'm here. I'm loving the answers that I'm hearing. The truth is, we're in this profession because we love kids, and we understand how fundamental and foundational it is to be able to work with kids at this age to help prepare them for adulthood. And so I think keeping that in perspective is very important. All of us now, I bet, have somewhere in a file folder the letters, the notes, the artifacts of the thank yous that on those darker days when we've got the 100 or 1,000 essays to grade, or some kid just isn't quite getting it, getting a little turned around, you pull that open, you read it, and then you go, oh, that's why I'm doing it, right? But if you're not there yet, know that every pair of eyes that you look into are eyes that God loves, and you're supposed to be influencing them in a positive way, being part of that, right? So you love them, you want to nurture them, and you want to make a difference in the future. I guarantee you, I promise you now, you will. Just be yourself. Be intense, and the last piece of advice I got from a former nuclear sub-commander, never let it go. You get what you inspect, not what you expect, just in terms of grading and checks for understanding. Very important.
I love that. You get what you expect, not what you inspect. I love that. Love that. Love
I'm sorry.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Dean G.
I have to say, and we're connected to what was just said. Find the positive piece in every situation you can, because there's so many things that for me, I know I've noticed that come to challenge what I do in the classroom every day, that you could look at and say, gosh, this is a huge mountain of negative things. But I tend to find myself looking at that one kid or those three kids that are just really always there, always ready to learn, always diligent. So I guess that it's a cliche, but accentuate the positive and try to get rid of the negative so it doesn't slow you down. You know, you are making a difference, even though it may not look like it sometimes. So my advice would be to sort of look at the positive things and don't focus on what might be trying to take you down or take you out.
Exactly. Being positive. Being positive. Matt.
To continue on Dean's theme of positivity, one piece of advice I got that keeps rattling around in my head is assuming positive intent. When a kid side talks in class and I get mad, it's like their intention was probably not to make me mad. It was probably to talk to their friend. And so by assuming positive intent, it helps me sometimes to stay positive.
You know, and sometimes it's that one little reminder that, you know, they're really not doing it to get under your skin. You know, in middle schoolers, high schoolers, you know, the brain is not fully formed yet. So we're going to let Anjanette have another go at it because, you know, I believe in fairness, and she needs her airtime too.
Let's try this again. Here we go. Another piece of advice: tell your kids you love them. Tell them you love them as much as possible. Learn that over the years. Just tell them you love them, tell them you care about them, and you have just watered some seeds of greatness.
I couldn't agree any more than I do with that. Exactly. There are a lot of kids that we teach that don't ever actually get to hear those words outside of our classrooms, and that's a sad part of our reality. I'm about to turn it back over to Sarah. We have had a great discussion. This has been amazing. You guys rocked it, all of you on top of your mute buttons and everything. This has been an awesome, awesome conversation. I appreciate it so much. And you know what? I just want to say I wish I could be a student in each of your classrooms, because it's very clear that you care deeply about the kids that walk through your door. So, Sarah, we're going to turn it back over to you.
All right, I just want to second that. Thank you so much, everyone, for your great ideas and your great insight. Thank you, Tammy, for moderating, and thank you to everyone who is participating on Twitter. So much great conversation going on, still going on. So definitely we're going to tweet out the collection courtesy of Participate Learning. There will also be an iTunes podcast, so look for that in the next few weeks. So next week, we are not going to have a Tweet and Talk because of the holiday. However, we will be back the following Sunday for a live EduMatch in action. So be sure to stick around for that. We're looking for panelists right now. So if you want to get matched up based on your educational interest, then just hop on over to bit.ly/tweettalk48 and leave a comment saying panelist, and we will get you on there right away. We would love to have anybody back who's here tonight, as well as the people who are tweeting. So definitely hope that everyone has a fantastic week. And again, thank you all so much for joining tonight. Right.